over.
It's like cops taking indirect. Day site. Just something. Better than anything else we got. Hey, I need more 240, dude. Cancel the other one. Like Dallas.
Got eyes on hog, hot.
Birds we love.
Roger, he's pretty much worked the Sancho Hill Ridge. I'm going to push him southeast up to 30, southeast of that section.
Hey guys, got you.
Big firefight.
Yeah.
Big. Packing up rounds. That was fun though, man. That was fun. You can't get a better high. It's like crack, you know. You can skydive or bungee jump or do kayak, but once you've been shot at, you really can't come down. There's nothing, you can't top that.
Are you going to go back to the civilian world then?
I have no idea.
A scene from the new documentary Restrepo, set in the Korengal Valley in Afghanistan. We're joined now by the journalist who embedded with the 2nd Platoon at Combat Outpost Restrepo, who shot that footage and directed the film, Sebastian Younger and Tim Hetherington. Gentlemen, thanks very much for your time. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I won't direct this to either one of you, but either one of you can jump in. Why document one long deployment by one small group of soldiers? Why not try to contextualize this valley and this fighting amid the overall war?
Well, so many great journalists have provided the context. The war is 9 years old now. There have been many books, many movies that provided the big picture. The one thing that hadn't been done was to document what it's like to be an American soldier in combat in Afghanistan. Not that policy decisions are based on that, but when these guys come home, we need to understand what their experience was, not politically necessarily, but on an experiential level.
You never see the enemy that is shooting at these Americans in the film, even though you see an awful lot of gunfighting. Is the enemy in this case shooting at Restrepo? Are they definitely Taliban? Are they disgruntled locals? Are they tribal fighters? Did the soldiers know exactly who they were fighting with when they were fighting?
The soldiers were trying to, had a kind of picture of who they're fighting. There were local Taliban in the valley, but there was also a lot of foreign fighters. There was guys from Pakistan and Arabs, and the Congo really was a mixture of Al-Qaeda and, the Taliban forces.
I know that the Army decided that the Korengal Valley would no longer maintain those. The U.S. military would no longer maintain those outposts in the Korengal Valley. That's referenced at the very end of the film. Did that change the overall feeling about the soldiers who you worked with and lived alongside for so long about what they had done there for all those months?
That was a very painful thing for them to watch the U.S. military pull out. They fought very hard there. They all lost friends there. Everyone we were with was almost killed there. So that was a very painful moment. On the other hand, they're professional soldiers. They understand that strategic decisions are made. Basically, there were not enough men in the Korengal to be effective, and so they were placed elsewhere, and I think they understood that.
That issue about not enough men, you guys may know that the Army today reversed a decision to punish officers for command failures that led to the death of 9 soldiers in Wanat, which happened while you guys were there in the Korengal. It wasn't where you were filming, but your soldiers, the soldiers you were with, are shown reacting to those 9 deaths. Were the men at Restrepo under-resourced? Were there enough people at that post to give them a fair shot at success?
When we first turned up in the valley in 2007, it was obvious to us that the war in Afghanistan was slipping out of control, something we know now. There was a company there, but extra soldiers were intended to arrive in order to protect the Pesh River Valley, and those soldiers never came. So, if there had been more soldiers in the Korengal, I'm sure security would have been better.
This is, of course, as you mentioned, not a film about politics, but it sort of necessarily becomes a film about military strategy because we see the strategy in action. Did the soldiers in Battle Company, the soldiers you were with, buy into or have opinions that they expressed about the overall strategy of what they were doing there, why they were there. I mean, because they're not just staying alive. They're going on offense. They're going out on these incredibly dangerous patrols and offensives. Did they talk about overall strategy?
They didn't talk about overall strategy for Afghanistan. What they discussed was the things that were relevant to them that might get them killed. So they talked about strategy in the valley itself. They discussed it endlessly because their lives were affected by it. They were very, very clear about trying to avoid civilian casualties. For example, other than the obvious moral issues, if they killed civilians, the civilians would side with the Taliban and more of them would get killed. They understood that relationship. And there were several times I saw them take very dramatic action to try to avoid civilian casualties.
Sebastian, let me follow up with you on that. You have said that you don't think society understands war very well. Obviously, you have a book out now called War that's based on your time with these soldiers as well. And you've said if society is going to solve the human problem of war, they have to figure out what it is about combat that attracts young men so much that they're willing to risk their lives to go back out there to get it. After spending all of those months with 2nd Platoon out in the Korengal Valley, do you feel like you're any closer to figuring that out?
You know, I think I am. We were at a very remote outpost on this hilltop. We were getting attacked 3 or 4 times a day sometimes. The guys, you know, when they come back, they want to go back. When they come back to society, often they want to return to that hilltop into combat. Society thinks, often people think that it's a question of adrenaline, an adrenaline addiction. I think what they're really addicted to essentially is brotherhood, an otherwise very healthy impulse that is taking place in a very unhealthy place. And I think if society understands that, it won't be pathologized so much. It'll be understood on its own terms, and maybe society can provide that sense of inclusion and brotherhood here rather than in combat.
Sebastian Junger and Tim Hetherington, directors of the film Restrepo, which won the Grand Jury Prize for Documentary at Sundance. The film comes out on Friday. Sebastian Junger's book about his time with 2nd Platoon, the book's called War, is out now. And Tim Hetherington's book about the experience, which is called Infidel, is due out in October. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations again on this achievement.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.